Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fearless, Inspired, and Free, a podcast where I talk to wonderful women with stories of resilience and strength and just what makes them them and what brought them to this space and place today. And today, my guest is Lisa Vargas. She is a mother. She is a law enforcement professional. And most of all, she is a survivor. Lisa has had a lot of things going on in her life. First of all, we all know that motherhood is a tough, tough job for the mothers out there. We also know that law enforcement is a tough job. And finding the balance in just those two is often enough. But Lisa has some things that she wants to talk about today, and we're going to hear about her story. And I have to let everyone know right in the beginning that there are some things that are sensitive that we're going to discuss today about mental health and things of that nature. And it may trigger some emotion in you as a listener, but this is an important story to tell. And it is important for you to know how strong Lisa is and what a survivor she really, really is. So, Lisa, I just appreciate you coming on today and wanting to tell your story. And I'm pretty much going to open the floor for you to kind of intro us into what brought you here to this space and place today in your life, but also here on this format and this platform where you're hoping your story, and if you share it, can help others on your journey for healing, to healing.
Absolutely. I don't know where to begin. A little bit about myself. I'm 44, a mother of three. I have a son that's 25. My daughter would be 22. And my youngest is 10. I'm also a grandmother. About a little over 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, I came home from work and my daughter was 15 at the time, and I found her. She had committed suicide. It was about a month before her 16th birthday. My youngest was 4. I went through, he actually was with me when I found her. That we could discuss that later. And I went through an extreme change in my life. It's there's a lot of therapy. There's a lot of medication, self-help, physical work, mental work, groups, books, everything and anything possible you could think of is out there. And I reached for all of it for assistance to be able to get through it. I like to say only because I had a 4-year-old at the time. I think that if I didn't have him, such a young child, I probably would have just ran away, left home, left everybody, everything. I went to maybe some third world country and just helped. That's what I like to think I would have done, helped very poor people and live like I don't have anything, because that's just what I felt I wanted to do. But I didn't, because I had not only my older son who has mental illness issues also. I don't know if issues is the right word to use, but I dealt with mental health with him since he was a young boy. But he was an adult, so he wasn't necessarily my responsibility legally. So at this time, I just felt like I wanted to go, but I still had the responsibility of this little boy.
Yeah.
So
So
he saved me in a sense.
absolutely, it sounds like, his presence is what kind of kept you centered when your world felt like a tornado.
Absolutely.
Um, Leading up to this discovery, was it anything that surely no one ever expects something like that, and that had to be a horrific thing to come home and find that, and that in itself is a whole trauma in itself, just the
Hmm.
visual of that. And I know you have spoken on that before, just trying to find a way to change that visual.
Yeah.
um, but do you want to tell anybody or tell everybody about your daughter, or
Oh,
what do you want
absolutely.
them to know about your daughter? What's say her name and tell us who she is.
Her name is Neyla. Um, when I was pregnant, I wanted a girl really, really bad, and I was convinced I was going to have a boy. And I found this name in one of the baby name books, and the name meant fulfilled wish. And I wanted a girl so bad. Um, and I know when I had her and they told me it was a girl, I didn't believe it. It took me a couple days, changing diapers and everything before it actually struck me that I actually have a little girl. Um, but she had this bubbly personality. She was available for everybody. As she was older, she was available for everybody, and she just wanted to help the world. Her main her main thing was wanting to help kids, young teenagers, um, that wanted to take their lives. I didn't know this until later. She had a YouTube channel. She used to stay up talking to people, text messaging, conversating with all these people to convince them to stay, to not hurt themselves and stuff. And here she was, um, cutting and self harm, uh, and the ultimate. But you wouldn't see her and think that this girl was hurting inside. That she was absolutely, I think that she was numb inside. She had the most brilliant smile, and then she got braces, and it was just even more bright. Um, Beautiful, beautiful curly hair, and this personality. She was just so silly and goofy. And I say that she was me as an adult, but as how I am as an adult, that was her as a child. I like to be really silly and goofy and funny and whatnot, and that was her, and it was just really natural. And then she didn't care what other people thought about her. Um, she stood up to bullies, for other kids at school. Um, she was just this big voice. She was a voice for people, I think, that didn't have one. Um, and she was a beautiful writer. That's the biggest thing. She wrote. Um, I was able to look through her journals and stuff after. And unfortunately, there's some things that I don't know if she wrote herself or some things she initialed. So I know it was her stuff, but it sucks to not know what was hers personally. Um, and then there's some things that are like really, really sad that I read, and I don't know if it's her expressing herself. So that kind of sucks to wonder if it's this pain that I'm reading, if this was her pain. And it makes me really, really sad if that's how she felt. But then at the same time, if it's somebody else's pain that she was writing about or that she copied, it's still sad that someone feels that way too. Um, she wanted to be a writer for Saturday Night Live. That was like her big thing. She wanted to be on SNL. She loved Tina Fey. That was our things. SNL was our thing. I would get pissed if she started watching it without me, or with sometimes we couldn't watch a Saturday night for whatever reason. Sunday morning before I had to go to work, we'd be watching it, or she'd start it, and I'd be like, we'd argue if she started it without me. We had a rocky relationship. Being a young mother is hard. Being a mother is hard, period. I was a single mother, now with 2 kids, and I was all over the place, but I tried my best. And it was hard with her specifically because she had this pain that I couldn't understand. Even as a little girl, she got her period very, very early, 9. And prior to that, for like a whole year, she would just get really emotional and just start crying out of nowhere. And I would ask her what's wrong, and she would just, I don't know. She would just be crying. So I just assumed that she's going to get her period really early, which she did. But she had very, very sad moments. And I always found it strange for someone so young to feel that way. And it's not, I don't want to say it's not like things were really, really bad at home. I gave her everything that I could. It didn't matter what she had. She had something inside of her that was hurting. She was an old soul. She started cutting. I think it was in 7th grade was when I found out that she was cutting. And I took her to the hospital, and we agreed. She was already in therapy at this time, 7th grade. She agreed to body checks whenever I told her, I have to check you. I mean, it would be down to bra and panties to make sure that she's not harming herself. And she agreed to that. It had to be uncomfortable for someone to tell you, take off your clothes, I have to check you, but for her safety, that's what I had to do.
And to show her you loved her, just to make sure she was
Exactly.
safe, right?
She had to be safe, and I had to know that she didn't need more treatment than just going to therapy once a week and, whatever we were all going through. She had social workers at school that she worked with. Everybody loved her. Like, she was this wonderful being, a big ray of sunshine. I know everybody says that stuff about their kids or, their family members when they pass, or somebody when they pass, that they're wonderful. Just a picture of her, you could just see the brilliance in her, She did a lot of stuff that I didn't know about until after. And I found all this stuff out, and it makes me sad. And I guess this is one big reason why I like to talk about it to others is, you said in the beginning, you would never think, or it's something that you don't think someone's going to do, that people don't think, I didn't have any signs. There wasn't any warning, for me, after, there was so much, I had her on an antidepressant. We were doing therapy. She'd leave the therapist's office cracking up. She had the therapist cracking up every single time because she's this silly, funny girl.
So you thought you were managing it. You thought
exactly.
that the face she was giving you was, this is working. All the things the tools you're giving her, this is working. She's still smiling.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think, and this, I don't know if you know about this, she went through a phase where I thought that she was interested in girls. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't want to say a phase, just in grammar in seventh grade or so. There was this whole MySpace fiasco. And there was I saw that she was talking to a lot of girls. And she said she was just playing a game, just whatever. I can't even explain what she was saying that she was doing. It just didn't make any sense to me. But then I was on guard, not on guard in a negative way, but I was starting to look out to see if she had an attraction to girls. She wound up becoming really close with a new girl that transferred to her school. And then little things were happening where she would get real emotional and start crying. And a lot of it had to do with this girl. Come 8th grade, I had more suspicion about this girl in specific, or in particular. And I didn't say anything. I didn't ask her. I was waiting for her. And then finally, one day in the summer after they graduated 8th grade, they both told me that they were dating, or they wanted to be together.
Okay.
And I told her I knew. And they both looked at me like I'm stupid. Like, how did you know?
Because you couldn't, as a mom, as an older person, how could you possibly figure
So
this
I
out?
didn't want, I know it was really hard for them, and I appreciated that at such a young age that they didn't keep it a secret and they felt comfortable enough to come to me. So I told them, I know, this means there's no more sleepovers. And they were like, what? And I said, yeah, if it's a boy, he's not sleeping over. So it's no different,
That's it.
I'm not playing that shit. We talked about it. The girl left, she hugged me and just started crying. I was holding her, and I think that was one big step. I thought that that's something she was holding back for a long time, and that's why she was having problems and cutting and all that other stuff. And I was so hopeful that things were going to change
because you are accepting.
I never gave her a reason to not think.
Right.
I think that she was just so scared of it all around, just everything that comes with it. At the time, my husband and I were, very accepting of her and loving, and it wasn't a big deal, just certain things just had to change at home,
Right.
Because she can't sleep over, that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So as the weeks were going by, it wasn't getting any better. She started having like adult drama with this girl. And she was always sad and crying, and they'd break up and not be together. And she was like this miserable, miserable person when she wasn't with her. So she'd be so giddy and happy when they got back together. Or they'd break up for a long time. You know how it is. You break
young
up.
love, yes,
Exactly.
young love, and,
Exactly.
and your first love is significant,
exactly.
right?
But
It's a
for
tough.
whatever reason, this scared me more. It was I felt she was too young to feel, but who am I to say you're not, what age is it that's proper to feel? But at the time I felt she was such a beautiful soul that, you're a freshman in high school, come on. I didn't talk to her like that, really. I tried not to. I let her feel what she was feeling, but I try to support her like you would do with, the kid. Um, but then it got to a point where I had to put my foot down and tell her she can't be with her because it was getting really bad. It was affecting her in school, at home. She was really depressed at times. Like they'd fight. It was ridiculous, you know. Um, and then they split up for a very, very long time, and she was great. She started hanging out with friends, going to concerts. People were coming over. Um, all these new groups of people and stuff like that. And it was wonderful until I heard the name again. When I started seeing her act differently, I started thinking, what's going on? Because she came back in the picture.
Mm.
Long story short, that was a long story. In the end, I blamed this girl for my daughter taking her life.
Oh, wow. Do you,
I did. I blamed her. Like
wow.
I didn't even allow her to come to the services. I had certain people. Pictures, a picture of her, certain people by the door. I didn't want her there. I didn't want to see her. Um, for a long, long, long time, I blamed this girl, um, a 15-year-old girl, for hurting my daughter so bad that she didn't want to live anymore. You know,
Mm.
um, that wasn't the only reason. I learned, realized later, but in that moment, it was her.
It was your pain talking, you think, or making you feel that way?
She, it was a little bit. It was a little. The girl had some, part. Not. She didn't tell her to do it. She didn't, stand there and help her. So no, my daughter made this decision on her own, and it's something that I think that she's thought about for a long time, and was just holding on day to day. But whatever happened between them two on this particular day or the night before, um, was like I guess the icing on the cake for her to just give up, be done. I can't take this pain anymore. On top of all the other pain that she was feeling in her life. Um, but I don't think that you could blame anybody else for someone's action. Uh, if if a kid takes somebody's gun and shoots himself purposely, um, he had an intention to do that. That's what he wanted to do, right? This is how I have to rationalize it in my head. He has to do it. Can you blame the person that he got the gun from? Would that mean that he wouldn't have killed himself that day? Maybe not. But this kid had an intention to take his life. And if they really want to do it, he would have found the way. That's how I try to rationalize it in my head. And this is how I had to stop blaming this girl. I can't blame this girl for my daughter taking her life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a very, very big step for me. A lot of people in my life were angry with me that I forgave this girl. I talked with her. I met with her. I let her come to the house after. This was several months later. And it's strange. I started seeing signs prior to it. And as I was telling myself or trying to process that I can't blame this girl, one specific day I was driving to work and I made a stop. And I was outside talking to somebody and I looked across the street, kitty corner, and there was a big billboard that didn't have anything on it, right? But someone tagged, spray painted, really, really big, the word forgive. And I was in this place where my eyes were trying to be open to finding signs that maybe my daughter was leaving me signs, you know? If the butterflies, or if I saw a cardinal, like that kind of stuff, I was just looking, hope, just anything that she was around. And I was talking myself through, what do I do about this girl? And I saw that sign, bright as day. I could still pick white letters. Um, and it said forgive. And in that moment, I knew that's what I had to do. It's still very hard. I haven't talked to this girl for a long time now. I did very well. I treated her very well after. I apologized for the way I acted. She apologized to me for many things. So there was forgiving, we went back and forth. Mind you, she was 15, 16 years old at this time, this girl. I had to do it for me. I wasn't doing it for her. I had to do it for me. But at the same time, I think that she kind of needed that to be able to go on with her life too, because she was such a close person to her. She lost what was her best friend too. I didn't look at it that way in the beginning, but she lost someone very, very special to her. And it's no different than her best friends, how they felt. I was there for them. I'm still there for them. They still call me for Mother's Day, and we get to, it's still that kind of stuff. But I had to separate myself and think I'm not the only one suffering here. So I did very well with her, with the forgiving and moving on. And it helped with my grieving, because I wasn't blaming anyone. And I didn't blame my daughter either. Was I angry at times? Do I still get angry? For certain things, I get not angry at her. I get angry at the fact that I don't know what could be right now, where she could be. I get jealous when I see the advancements that her friends have made. Like when, I went to see one of her best friends for prom. Me and my son went, we have pictures, stuff like that. Graduations, I've gone to, all these things that I should have been going to with Neyla, or for Neyla. I did it with her friends, to be there for them. But I did it in a selfish way also, because I needed that, because I wasn't going to have that, and I beat myself up. I think that I was torturing myself by doing that. I think I told you. No, I didn't. Saturday, my niece just had her sweet 16. She couldn't have a quinceañera last year because of COVID. So they did a sweet 16 on Saturday. And I didn't think anything of it. I went, I was there. They had the parties, the girls come out. Then my niece came out, and she's, showing off her beautiful gown and whatever. And I'm sitting there, and we're all taking pictures. And then everybody, all these different family members are presenting my niece with gifts, and her other grandmothers telling her what she's going to be, what kind of a woman, her future, saying all this stuff. And without me even realizing, what the fuck am I doing here? It hit me. I started catching myself getting emotional, because it was a beautiful thing. And she's 16, like, oh, wow, I can't believe this. And then I was like, I'm not crying because she's 16. I'm crying because I didn't get to do this for my kid. And I try to keep myself together, and all this huge flood of emotions that I haven't felt for such a long time just came pouring out. And before I lost myself, I just grabbed my purse, and I told my brothers I have to go, and I just left. And I screamed hysterically in my car, which I haven't done this for a very, very long time. But before, if I went to a function like that, like one of her friends, safe, sweet 16, or a birthday party or graduation or what have you, um, I think I was doing it so I could see what possibly could have been Neyla or something like she might have had, you know. But when I went Saturday, I had no idea. Like I didn't have that thought. It didn't even dawn on me. And it was just so crazy how these emotions just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah. So you know, 5, 6 years removed, and you've done your therapy and you've done the work, and you think you get to a place. But one important thing to let everybody know is that as the emotion comes, you got to kind of let them come. I'm very happy to hear that you didn't suppress that, you know,
Yeah,
like
I,
you removed yourself, but then you let those feelings come out, you know.
exactly. One thing
Important.
with you saying that I didn't suppress my feelings, um, after all this happened, I was drinking a lot. Um, I was a regular, like not. I don't want to say I was an alcoholic. So some might say because I drink, whatever. To some people, yes. Some people, no. I like to say I was a social drinker, um, but I drank a lot more after she passed. But I felt like I never was intoxicated because I cried so much. I used to like to say that I cried so much that the tears, like the liquor, came out of my tears. Right. Um, I wound up about 2 months, maybe not even 2 months later. I went out to New Hampshire to stay with my cousin for a couple of days. We thought it was a good idea for me to get away. And I was there maybe 4 days or something. And I drank a lot while I was out there. Um, and my cousin suggested that I go to the hospital while she was driving me to the airport. And I asked her, "Did I tell you that last night? Because I guess I was thinking it, that maybe I need to go to the hospital for my mental support, not like doctor, like emergency room kind of
Right.
hospital." Um, and she's like, "No, I just see it. You need more help than what you're getting." And she knows me to the way I was drinking, um, and then it was just bad. So I at the time I called my husband, or I called my husband at the time, we're divorced, um, and told him I wanted to go to the hospital. So I had a layover. So from New Hampshire to wherever the hell I flew, he was able to get a hold of my psychiatrist. And from that place to Chicago, they were able to find me a bed. Um, so he picked me up. I went home. I packed my bag. I saw my little guy, and um, he took me to the hospital. The main reason I'm bringing this up is I got admitted, and when they were doing my paperwork, after I had to go through a process of getting checked to make sure I wasn't bringing any um, contraband or anything dangerous inside. So I did, the degrading checks that I never experienced, but in the hospital, taking off your clothes and make sure you don't have anything inside of you and stuff like that. So it
Right.
was pretty degrading, specifically because I didn't do anything wrong, but I had to understand it was for my safety and for everybody else's.
Yes.
Um, she got to the questionnaire and this paperwork, and somewhere it said that if I had an FOID, a firearm owner's identification card, that it would be revoked if I was going to be in the hospital. Okay. Now you introduced me. I'm in law enforcement, so that means if they took my gun card away, then I can't carry my weapon. And what does that do with my job? So I had to sit there for a while and decide, was I going to leave the hospital because of my job? Because I didn't want to risk losing my job. I didn't know what the procedure was, what was going to happen to me. Or do I need this for myself and my family? So she tried making a couple of calls, and this is like 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the week. Um, and I was going to call my husband and tell him to come get me because I couldn't risk that, you know? Um, this isn't the time that I want to lose my job 2 months after my daughter left me. Um, and I just said, you know what? My family is more important than anything. Money doesn't fucking, excuse my language, money doesn't matter. I could always get another job if necessary. I'll figure it out. I always figured it out. Uh, so I told her, you know what? Just I'll sign. And it was the best thing that I did. It really was. Um, I only actually stayed for, I think, 5 days. I was in therapy prior. I was on an antidepressant prior, but then everything changed. My antidepressant changed. I had to be on anxiety medication, like so much stuff. But it gave me a space where I wasn't surrounded by thoughts and memories of her. And it's not that I was trying to run away from it and I didn't want it, but I kind of wanted like just a time to not have my phone, to not have to answer calls, to not be tempted to get on Facebook, to see, those I'm sorry messages and how you're holding up, like that kind of stuff. I needed a break from all of that. Yes, I could have just put my phone down. Yes, I could have not opened the computer or not taken calls, but that's easier said than done, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I had daily therapy groups. It was just, we say we need a vacation and we go on vacation and we go sightseeing and we're running back and forth and doing all this stuff. So we're not really taking a vacation. We're not, most people don't just sit and relax and be. And this was my first opportunity to sit and relax and be. And I took advantage of it and I enjoyed it. Um, I was able to listen to my feelings and I was able to actually write. I was writing. Um, I wrote a lot, even if there was like a positive, like an affirmation, kind of a poster on the wall or something. I wrote that down. I had a little journal. I wrote down those little affirmations. I was just constantly, I was writing as much as I could. My feelings, my thoughts, my desires. Um, if someone said something, wrote it down, Um, but I met a couple of people there. Some of them were there that they attempted suicide and it didn't work.
Mm.
There was a gentleman that was like his fifth time attempting. He was an older guy. Um, and in those little 4 or 5 days, I became this person for these people that survived. I let them see what they would be leaving behind if they killed themselves.
Mm.
None of these people ever thought, well, if I die, it'll make somebody else's life easier. I won't be a burden. All the stuff that could possibly cross their mind. But now they see someone on the other side of what happens to the people that they leave behind. So in those little 4 or 5 days, I felt that I touched a handful of lives. Fast forward a couple of days, I left the hospital and I went to an outpatient program through the hospital, and it was a full day program. It was from like 8 to 3, I believe it was, and 4 people from the hospital visit joined me in the program. So I got to hear what it was that they felt and why they tried to do what they did, which made me understand a little more about Neyla. So that was a blessing to help understand. And then I was able to touch other lives. And I honestly felt that they saw life in a different way because they know that what's left behind is rough, you know?
Do you feel like you found your purpose, that by
Yes,
going
yes,
to that, you found a purpose for
yes.
kind of keeping you going and moving ahead and helping people see both sides?
And I had no intention of that being my life. No intention. That was what she liked to do.
Yeah.
She wanted to save lives. That wasn't my intention at all. I told her that she can't be the voice of suicide, that she can't be, that it's not her job. And here, this is what I do now. I still keep in touch. This is 5.5 years later. I still check in with these people. They're still here, which is a great thing. But I did many weeks full time in outpatient. Then I did partial, and thankfully work was very accommodating. I did have my gun taken from me, but I didn't lose my job. I wasn't able to be an officer that's carrying a weapon at the time, and it took me several years for and lots of treatment, therapy, lots of paperwork and proof and stuff like that, to be able to get my gun back. But it's been a couple years now. But it gave me an opportunity to help people in a different way. And then once I got back out on the streets, then I felt that I could be with the public and I could help people that way too,
Yes.
you know?
And we
So
talked about that, how you want
yeah,
to be helpful
exactly.
as a law
Exactly.
enforcement. You want to help people. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to just be that person that just, gives you what you don't want to hear and then not have a heart or soul, or not let you know that I understand. I've been there, my life isn't perfect. My life hasn't been perfect. I've suffered just as you've suffered, Um,
You know what comes to mind, Lisa,
yeah.
when you just finished that piece, is that when you were pregnant and you found this name and it meant
Mm-hmm.
fulfilled wish.
Yes.
And here you are fulfilling her wish.
Oh, you're a jerk.
You know,
You're going to make me cry.
it just jumped right out at me when you said that. When you said, you told her, no, no, no. And by all means, you are fulfilling her wish. She is a fulfilled wish, a prophecy. And I'm so, your journey and how you were able to just do this is just so inspiring. Your strength, I don't know how, you still 5-6 years later, you get up and I see you, we're talking, and your persona is just, you're just the pillar of strength. And the fact that you chose your family, your life over the job is so, people need to hear that. Like, there will always be a job. There will always, and you see it worked out for you. It just took work, but it had to be you. You had to choose you. And we're just talking about it previously.
Exactly.
Choose you,
Yeah.
and you did this. So you've done the work, you've done some therapy. Every day is, and like you said, every day is like, there's good and there's bad, there's ups and there's downs. Your goal is to still help the community. Your goal is still to build this strong family. And I don't want to there's just a couple more things I want to ask you before, that might be helpful or people might be going through, because one, we have to definitely want to know how your young son is doing and how you've helped him and how everything goes with him. But also, some of the things you did, you told me before that obviously you talked about the therapy and going back and going in for inpatient and outpatient, but you said you did EMDR, you tried all kinds of things, and the signs the signs that you get from your daughter keep you knowing that she's in a good place.
Absolutely.
She lets you know she's in a good place. And we talked about the whole dying and things like that. So tell me what things have been helpful as far as, a specific type of therapy, and I think journaling has helped you tremendously.
Mhm.
And before we started
Oh,
speaking
yeah.
today, you're finding that right now today, your love of art and expression that way is
Yeah.
helping you. So tell me, what are some things that can help someone in your position continue to get through it? It never ends. And then
Mhm.
tell us how you're also helping your son, so that, and he was very young then. And so there's things he'll remember and he won't, but how do you, keep him grounded and okay with what's going on?
As far as he goes, we didn't tell him until he was about 7. He was 4 when it happened, 7 or 8, that she committed suicide. And we only told him because he heard the word suicide at school. He asked a question about it, and then his dad told him, that's what Neyla did. He was going to therapy about maybe a year after it happened, a year or 2. I really don't remember. Because he started having like sad moments and he would just cry for her. I think he spent the first year, as young as he was, he cared for me. If he heard me sniffle, he would turn his head to see if I was crying. If he caught me on the floor crying, he'd run for his dad, to tell him that mommy needs you, that kind of stuff. Or he would just sit next to me while I cried. So I felt like he took this role without even realizing, at such a young age. But I think after a year went by and he saw that I was doing a little bit better, that's when he let himself start to grieve, just naturally. So he was seeing somebody for a while and it was helping, but we never told him. He was seeing somebody that his sister died. He misses his sister. He went through, why did she leave me? He still says it. He's 10 and he still says it. I was her best friend, stuff like that. He stopped therapy a while ago. He's actually starts again next week. Because he's having a lot of problems with anxiety now. He's always worried about what's going to happen next. So I can't work on it with him. I think he needs something more than what I could give him. So I'm taking him back to therapy. He writes, we talk about her all the time. If he cries about her, I let him cry it out. And we're just very supportive of whatever he's feeling when he's feeling it. There's not much more, if he has questions, I answer his questions as gently as possible. But he's still very attentive to me. If we're watching something and he'll hear the word suicide, he'll look at me, Mommy, are you okay? Why? What are you talking about? They said the S word, So, but he's a lot better. He's healing, but we talk about her all the time.
So you're healing together.
Yes.
And what you're learning or what you're receiving, you're giving him. And, hopefully that, as the years go, he can heal in a healthy way. And, hopefully he can, because I can understand that being anxious about things. And I know, because that's such a unknown thing and happens so quickly. And so I'm happy that you're doing what you need to do and you're helping him do what he needs to do to move forward, and unfortunately I heard you say, you had your husband at the time, but now you're divorced, but you guys are doing that together, helping him
Yeah.
heal and things like that. So that's a wonderful thing.
I
And
have my
you,
older son too, that he still goes through his moments, but he does
oh,
really good with it. Like he'll come to me, he'll talk about stuff, or he has, mom, me and Neyla used to blah, 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 blah. Like he'll
and
tell
they
me
were
stuff that I
closer
didn't
in
know.
age, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
they were
they
closer
were
in
4 years
age.
apart.
Yes, yes.
So, and they hated each other, but he tells me stories of stuff they used to do. And I'm like, what the hell, man? I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yep.
Why are you telling me? And I would get mad,
Mm-hmm.
oh, Nayla did blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't want to know that,
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and then I have my grandson, so I get to see,
And how old is your grandson?
he's 4.
Oh,
So my son teaches his son about his aunt, his titi Neyla. He has her pictures all over. He has, whatever. My son has his little, I had her cremated, so he carries her ashes. He bought my grandson a necklace so he could carry the ash just like his. It lasted a day because he's a crazy little boy.
yes, he's 4.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's the biggest boy that I've ever met, like the boy of all boys. So that was another thing. When he was born, I was at the hospital, and when I went into the room to see him, like I was so nervous because we spoke about me talking to a medium before,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to find comfort in being able to communicate with my daughter on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom spoke with this medium on the day my son found out what they were having. And without my mom knowing that she was having a boy, my mom saw the medium. The medium said she's having a boy, and Neyla has him, is comforting him, his soul, until he's ready to come to the earth to be born. So knowing that throughout the pregnancy, and then when he was born and I saw his face and that he was healthy and all that other stuff, checked him and everything, then I just dropped to the floor bawling hysterically because I just pictured her holding him. And now this is new life. Like this was maybe a year and a half later or something. Yeah, about that long. So that was a rough one to so he's a big part of stuff. I really deep inside wish she had a boy, a girl, so that way, but yeah, that was really, really hard.
That strong leader will come through. Maybe, the fact that
Mhm.
she cared for him before he made his journey this way.
Yeah.
He picked up
And it's
some
hard for
of
people to
her.
believe that kind of stuff. Not
Yeah.
you and I spoke about it. Not everybody believes like in afterlife and being able to talk to your loved ones and stuff like that. But I am a believer and this is going into the signs. Um, uh, my Nayla leaves me dimes. I'll find dimes at random places. And how I learned that she left me dimes was after she passed, I would park my car in the garage and my husband's car would be on the left, mine would be on the right. So I'd get out of the driver's side and, or somewhere in the middle, I found a dime and I just left it there. I'm like, whatever, I don't want to bend down. Uh, and then like a day or two later, there was another dime next to it. I'm like, what the fuck? Why is there another dime here? And then the next day there was another dime. So there's 3 dimes now in the middle between 2 cars, right? In my garage.
And only on the side you would get out of.
In the middle between both the cars.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be on the side where I would get out of. My side would be on, it was between both passenger sides.
Okay. I see
Okay.
it.
So he would back in and I would pull in. So
Got it.
both of our passenger sides. But when I would get out of my car, I'd have to go around the car and come through the middle to get out of the door, if you could try to understand that. But it was between both of our cars. He would never go on that side because his driver's side was right at the door. He wouldn't go on the pass in that middle part. I would.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up these dimes and I'm like, what the hell? And then I started finding dimes in all types of places, anywhere and everywhere. People find pennies everywhere. I started finding like almost on a daily basis was a dime. And now I believe that she just sends them to me when I really, really need it. If I'm kind of in a funk, if I'm a little down, sad, whatever, or if I'm thinking about her or I ask her. I think I told you people will pray to God, like, oh God, please let me make it through this day. Um, I would tell her, Neyla, help me get through, blah, 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 blah. And then I'll find a dime.
Wow.
I went through this huge thing whenever I saw butterflies. I would always say, that's Neyla. My son does it all the time now. That's Neyla, that's Neyla. I not so much do feel the butterflies as a sign anymore. Occasionally. My big thing now is if I'm thinking of her, it's happened twice now where there's a hawk that has flown past my car, like really low, while I'm thinking of her. Like really, really strange. It's just strange scenarios. So I choose to believe that it's her. At times, it's just a feeling I get, and
Yeah.
I take
A
it and I
presence.
love it. I love
Yeah.
it. So I've gotten into a lot of spiritual work. Yoga was a very big help for me. My sister-in-law at the time took me to my first yoga class. She died in December, and it was huge healing for me. I fell in love with it, and I've gone through my stages of doing it and not doing it. I'm currently in teacher training. I'm kind of in a funk with it right now, but it's a stepping stone for me to be able to continue.
Yes.
I just find a bunch of things, and whatever works for me at the time is what's working for me. I just need to keep going.
So the bottom line is just keeping going and keep trying to find ways to kind
Yeah.
of go. And you're living, this life of purpose. You still have your job that, where you want to be a public servant. The yoga is helpful. And I know that we talked a couple of days ago and you said, and we decided, okay, I'm going to say we,
Yes.
and you decided that there's a path that you wanted to take for schooling and that you're going to look into that. And, you got to do that when time
I just
permits.
registered for my class yesterday.
And that's what I wanted to hear, because I know that that's going to be for you. And so you're going to do that path and take care of that. And then you also, right before we jumped on, you said that although you take a break from all the social media things, just kind of balance out for yourself. You're going to be picking up and you're going to be participating in, was it in September? Is it coming
It's
up?
October 3rd, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I started doing the walk, the suicide prevention walk. And ironically, that year that she passed, I was gonna walk for one of my good friends. Her mom committed suicide when she was younger. So I was gonna walk with her team. So I had told Neyla that her and her friends are gonna walk with me. Whether they wanted to or not, they were gonna come. And she wound up dying. I had her services Friday, Saturday. I buried Saturday was the last day, and then the following Saturday was the suicide walk. So originally, I was walking for my friend's mother, and it was going to be me and 2-3 of her friends, and it wound up being we walked with that group, but I wound up bringing like 50 people.
Yeah, I remember.
And everybody walked for Neyla. And then the following year, I had my own team. Neyla's Wallflowers, her favorite book / movie was The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So I started my own team the second year, a year after she passed. And but last year, unfortunately, because of COVID, they didn't do the walk. They did a virtual thing. And for whatever reason, I wasn't feeling good about asking people to donate money in such a bad situation. Everybody going through stuff with COVID and not working. I just didn't want to do the online. I didn't want to do it. I wasn't feeling good about any of it for
It
whatever
was a
reason.
hard to difficult time,
Yeah,
COVID,
yeah.
but
So
now you get to come out this year. Now that you
I
get to
just
come
got the
out.
email and
Good.
I decided I'm gonna go ahead and register, and I'll get back on Facebook and start requesting money. So
And it is a wonderful experience. I've done it several times too. And,
that's the
you
last time
don't,
I saw you.
yeah, yeah. And you don't know what to expect, but when you get there, it is so healing. It is like, it truly is. And they say out of the darkness, it truly does feel like that. It makes people aware of the stories. It makes people aware of what people are going through. And I think it's a wonderful organization. And, I think that just again, the strength of those families for that event and the walk, and it's just so powerful.
Yeah,
Um, so
there's
I love that you stay connected to that.
yeah. I also so there's the walk out of the darkness. The out of the darkness walk. Then there's also I volunteered. I took a break from it. The crisis text hotline. Um, Anybody could text the number 741-741 and just say hello, help, hi, anything, and you'll have a someone come and communicate with you if you're in any type of a crisis. It could be from the extreme of you're suicidal to something as minimal as my parents are going to be mad at me because I got a bad grade on my math test. I'm scared, you know.
That's great
Um,
information. You said if someone texts six
the word,
numbers,
no, the number 741-741.
okay,
So instead of writing any phone number, just write 741-741 and then
okay,
put the message, whatever the message. Can I talk to someone? You could just write the word help, anything.
okay,
Someone will get within minutes. You'll have someone communicating with you via text.
okay, awesome. I'm gonna put that information out there. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's
That's
called the crisis text hotline.
crisis text hotline. Okay,
Hmm.
awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that. And
So
I'll make sure I put
yeah,
that
if
out there.
anyone that's listening, if they have a child, a friend, family member that is having that they're worried about them in any way, shape, or form, that's an option. Like if I knew about this, if I would have been able to tell Neyla that if you're feeling XYZ, maybe text these people. Here's a number just in case
Right.
you don't want to talk to me, or this is like in an emergency situation. I volunteered, and I had three suicidal people like in that moment, and it's very very hard. Um, it was very hard for me to try to talk somebody down um, from that moment, you know, uh, given what I went through. Um, but it's something that was a great feeling for me. We're the purpose is to help you in these 24 hours, to keep you okay for these 24 hours.
Yes.
Um, they offer therapy, whatever. It's in the whole world. So they could find a therapist for you, counsel, all different type of resources for whatever your
Wonderful.
situation is. It's a great avenue for people. Um, but that was something really big that I did, but I had to take a break from it
Sure.
because it got too personal for me at times. So I took a break from it.
Again, the balance. You have to do
Yeah.
the balance,
Hmm.
right? Right.
Hmm.
In order for
And
you to maintain.
when I'm ready, I could get back on. Um, so you go through training and stuff like that, and there's always someone that you could talk to. I'm not just giving advice out. People aren't just giving advice to whoever's texting without someone above them that they could ask a question to if they're not sure about, you know.
Right.
Um,
Fantastic.
so it's a wonderful outlet for people. So there's the suicide walk. There's that. American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which is the ones that promote the Out of the Darkness Suicide Walk. I did the Compassionate Friends is a group for parents that have lost a child. TCF. That I found them a couple months after she passed, and that was a great resource for me, to where I was able to meet with a family that lost their child and talk with them. I one of the directors of the group that I would go to would call me if there's someone new, especially Spanish speakers, to try to talk to them, to let them know that it's a safe space, stuff like that. And then she wanted me to open my own chapter in a certain area for Spanish speakers because there wasn't any in that area. And I was willing to do it. So it feels good to know that what I'm doing is helping other people.
Yes,
You know?
basically just coming out of the darkness and being able
Exactly.
to provide some light.
Mhm.
Well, Lisa, I know that life will never be the same, and I know that every day is a new day, and we take it one day at a time. We truly do. But again, I'm so grateful for your strength. I'm also very grateful that you are telling your story so that someone that might be, there's so many things, someone who might be struggling with their child right now, not sure how to help them or not sure what to look for, or someone who, like you said, compassionate friends who they've been through it, and now just trying to work through that and be support for one another, or whatever that looks like. Also the self work you have done on yourself. If someone knows, okay, I'm in this place, I have these options. Just the fact that you're doing that to provide help for someone is so much appreciated. I'm so glad that you you allowed us to talk to you today and hear your story. And I also gonna keep sending out the good energy and the good vibes, because I know that in your current profession in law enforcement, you want to help and you want to assist, and there's so many ways to do that. And we talked about ways,
Yeah.
how to do that, and you can still do that. And so that brings me joy too, because it's a profession that's still near and dear to me. So I thank you for all you do in that arena as well.
Appreciate it.
So everybody, we will, when I put this up, I will put up the text number again. I'll put up that you can look up Compassionate Friends, the Out of the Darkness Walk, and also I will leave an email for Lisa if anyone has questions. So Lisa, thank you so much for joining today, and I'm sure we'll be speaking again. I'm sure we'll hear from you again.
No problem. Would you be willing to add my name for if anyone wanted to donate for the walk? If they could donate
Absolutely. I'll put the
to Neyla.
link.
Yeah, to Neyla's
Yes,
walk walk. Okay, sounds
absolutely.
good.
So we'll link the that walk when I
Mhm.
post, and everyone knows that they can find it on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor. And then there's a Instagram page for Fearless, Inspired, and Free. So I'll make sure I include all that with you. You send that to
Okay,
me and I'll put it up there.
sounds good.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.